Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Listen and grow as Del questions the status quo, encourages you to think differently, and empowers you to make a better life. Get ready as Del challenges core beliefs, seeks the truth, and reveals the roadmap to the lifestyle you really want. And now your host, multi-millionaire, national award-winning investor, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. This month, however, I've created a new series. We're calling it Real Estate Retired. And what it's about is people that have actually done this. You know, you talk about people that have done, they started this program, they started that program, they did this, they did that. You know, they wholesale, they flip, they did blah, 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 blah. You know, it just doesn't work. The bottom line is I've been here for 34 years and thousands of members have totally retired. Meaning they don't have to go to work anymore. And that's quite a major change in their lives. Today's guest is Mr. John Ridgway. John came to us kicking, stomping, fighting, screaming, clawing. He didn't want to do it. He was tied up in corporate America. He believed he wanted to get out, but he just couldn't let go. And when he did, boom, it blew up. Now I can't find the guy. He's all over the country. He lives in a motorhome. I don't even know where he's at. But somehow we got him to call in. And with us today is John. We used to call him Llama Ridgway. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Del. Good morning to you.
So, John, you're a perfect example of, you know, the average person out there has got a good corporate America job, except yours was in real estate, which was interesting. And you were vice president of probably the second largest property management company in the country. You had regional control over many, many different cities. And I think they probably made you travel all the time. You probably worked 12 hours a week or 12 hours a day, 6 days a week type of thing like I did. All of that. And yet when I tried to bring you across the line, I tried to pull you across the line. It took a long time to convince you. Why don't you share with people where you're at, what kind of job you had, and what you were leaving and why it was so hard to leave?
Indeed. As you said, I was a regional vice president for a large national property management company and managed in the apartment management business. I had no ownership control in any of the properties. I was a W-2 employee of the management company. And, you know, my job entailed not only the operations of the properties under our care and the supervision of that, but it was also managing, you know, several hundred employees and the administrative nightmares that go along with that. And as you said, I had properties in multiple states, and so there was travel involved. There was, in the office requirements. Obviously, this was way before COVID, so the expectations were that I would be, and all the other employees would be at the office, behind the desk every day. And so it was, for me, I think you know my story. It was in about 2004, I realized that a 401k would not get me and my family to the financial freedom that I was looking for. I was working for a great company, had a good salary, I made good money, but it would always be, somewhat paycheck to paycheck, not quite, but, somewhat paycheck to paycheck. And, to answer your question specifically, the part for me was the fear of losing the, that security blanket of, hey, I'm going to, my 2-week renewable contract, right? I'm going to get a paycheck here in, every 2 weeks. And so if I did well, I got a check, and I got another 2 weeks out of him. And, and it was, for me, that was the biggest fear to overcome. And that's why, kicking, dragging, screaming, that for me, that made it very difficult to make the leap.
How many years did you work in the industry, John? Because I want people to relate to the fact that this isn't something that just you get a whim one day and you do. I mean, you were actually in the industry for quite a while, weren't you?
Yeah, I'd been in the apartment management industry for, approximately 35 years by the time that I joined Lifestyles and, and started down that path. I was very involved not only in the company that I worked for, but also with the industry associations. I was very active in the Houston Apartment Association, the Texas Apartment Association, as well as the National Apartment Association, which, coincidentally, as you know, it was on a National Apartment Association trip to the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., where you and I first met.
Do you remember the story you told before about going to your financial planner and him explaining to you about retirement plan?
In my region, in Houston, we had 8 meetings in one day, and then we rotated the employees in and out of those 8 meetings, and it was a repetitive meeting. It was, one topic, one presentation, presented 8 different times. One of the things that came up on the 401k is that it's okay to make less money when you retire, for example, because your house will be paid off. Then I started, but wait, right now my house payment was only 20% of my income. So it wasn't there wasn't going to be this massive savings by having my house paid off. Just trying to live off of a 401k would require working until full retirement age at least, and then possibly even more, and then pray you don't run out of money before you die. And it was the epiphany for me came that I don't want to live like that, for the rest of my life, and working, in that model of income for, forever. And so I realized at that point that it was, that was not the way to go, but I didn't know where to go from there. And so I approached one of the partners at the company I was at that time about, hey, how do I get from the employee/management side to participation in in ownership, because that's really where I saw the opportunities, the financial opportunities. And his reply was, hey, that pie is already cut pretty thin, and his wife was not interested in sharing her pie. So, there really wasn't an opportunity there. And so at that point, I knew that I wanted to change what I was doing, kind of stop doing what I'm doing now, but I didn't know what to replace it with. And that was the difficult part. And frankly, it was probably about 2 or 3 years after that epiphany that I just I continued to struggle, because I knew I wasn't at the place that I wanted to be, but didn't know how to get there. And it wasn't until I met you and at that National Apartment Association event, you and I happened to be paired together. We were doing our, apartment day on Capitol Hill and going to visit various Houston area legislators. And you and I and Melissa got paired together in a small group, and so we had the opportunity to spend the day together. And as I got to know you better, and hey, what do you do? You began to realize that there was, that this might be the path finally to where I knew I needed to go, but didn't know how to get there.
So, John, let me slice this up a little bit differently here. For all those people out there in this world that work in a service environment, and really that's what the property management business is. You're a business B2B service, and then you operate a B2C, B to customer. So for those who don't know what that means, B2B is business to business. Some business hires their business to come in and operate their business, and then they come in and operate a business that is a business to customer business, which is the leasing of apartment units and managing apartment housing. Now, my question is, John, if you can help people, this is just simply to help people out there. Why is it in those industries, when you have a job in those industries, you wanted to have a piece of that company? That's what you're asking your boss for, a piece of that company, when you guys were managing real estate for guys that were millionaires and they were making millions, and you were in charge of their financial statements. So you had the inside information because you controlled the numbers. How do people in these scenarios, like I worked in the health club industry, I figured out real quick ago, we're bringing in $100,000 a week in memberships. I'm getting paid, $3,000 a month. What? Whoa, wait a minute. $500,000 a month I bring in sales. I'm getting paid $3,000. I think I'm going to own my own health club. But that was the industry I was in. So I thought, okay, that's all I know is how to do health clubs. I'll open a health club, right? Didn't work for me. That wasn't what made me rich. But for you guys were right there in an industry that I've seen people become, very wealthy doing. Why didn't yourself and the rest of the people that work in the industry see what the people that were owning the deals were actually doing with their money? Can you explain that not for me, for everybody else? I've already understood it.
Yeah, that is a fantastic observation and question. Primarily, I worked with institutional clients, and so I never saw the wealth or the value of the real estate, the increase in value of the real estate with a personal attachment. Where I can say, "Oh my gosh, that guy had just made $1 million, right?" Or we just increased their value. It was more removed than that for me, in that a lot of it was, like I said, institutional clients. So it was a fund. It was, there wasn't that personal attachment, and frankly, for myself personally, I did not understand the business from that side of it. I didn't view it as that. I knew we were making money. I knew the difference between making money and losing money. But the nuances of particularly real estate and how wealth is created through real estate, I didn't have that knowledge of exactly how that works. And so that ignorance kept me and, held me back for a long time. It's once you do something and you see something and, you have success at it, all of a sudden, what do we always say? Oh, I wish I would have done that years before.
Well, we're going to go to break, John, and when we come back, we're going to talk about sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be great. We'll take a short break, be right back with John Ridgway in the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Teaching you with a roadmap to creating the lifestyle you really want. Keep listening. The Del Walmsley Radio Show returns in moments.
Stop waiting. Stop sitting around. Stop procrastinating. This is your time. Make it happen. Do it now. When's the best time? Now. People go, well, I don't know. It's going to crash. It's going to be better next year. I've got to listen to 4 more classes. I love guys come up to me all the time. You know, I've been listening to you on the radio for 8 years now, right? I go, and you're not rich yet? Well, really, I'm thinking about joining next month. Do it now.
Learn the skills you need to retire with real estate in 5 years or less. Do it now. Register for the Lifestyles Unlimited free online workshop. LifestylesUnlimitedWorkshop.com.
You're hearing the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Want more life-changing knowledge? Access our podcast and listen on demand at lifestylesunlimited.com under the radio tab. Now your host, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on my new series I'm running, which is Real Estate Retired. It's John Ridgway. And John is an individual that I sought, actually, as opposed to him finding our program and, you know, looking into it, whatever. I sought after him. I met him and sought his involvement. And the reason I did was because he was good at what I didn't want to do, which was property management. And I made a deal with him that if he would come and quit his job, I would, you know, he would start up his own management company, so he'd have a way to create income to get started, sort of a safety blanket to get started. I would buy as many properties as we could manage, and we would have a, you know, symbiotic relationship in that situation. But John, something happened, man. It's good to be good, but sometimes it's better to be lucky. And you and I happened to start up right at the beginning of an unbelievable market condition that had just made us phenomenally wealthy. At least it did me. You can share your side of it. But it's happening again right now, so I want you to explain what happened and how we dealt with it that was different than everybody else and why we were so successful with it, because it's happening now, and I want people to do it again. So please pick that up right there. What did we run into?
Well, as you said, very opportunistic time period. We were going through the financial crisis, a lending crisis, and where it went from is it provided us the opportunity to buy properties at a significant discount. And kind of two examples of that is I received a call, I believe it was Christmas Eve, from a broker there in the Houston area telling me about a property, a C-class property on Northborough. Said it was $13,000 a door. Said that number was hard because that's, but they wanted a relatively quick sale. And we wound up buying that property. We closed on it in mid-March, so from Christmas Eve to mid-March. And, in hindsight, when you look at how did we get there, and this is where that luck part comes in, I think we got that deal because I answered the phone on Christmas Eve. I know this broker. I've known him for years. I know I was not at the top of his list. So, if you remember the old Night Court TV show and how did the judge get elected? Well, he was, the 43rd person on the list and just happened to answer the phone. And so that opportunity came to us because we answered the phone. And that wound up being a very successful investment for us. This same broker, a couple of years later, brought us they were marketing a property in Houston that turned out to be, and I know you've told the story many times, you use this example, where we bought a 320-unit apartment complex for $8,000 a door. And we were able to, again, take advantage of market conditions where there was minimal competition, and we were willing buyers during a time period that the number of willing buyers was not that large. And so we were able to take advantage of that. You and I, you purchased 4 properties during this time frame, and all 4 of them were successful. We've sold those several years ago, but the timing of the market, our willingness, or more so your willingness to invest money, my operations, most of these properties were needed to be repositioned. They had been poorly managed, poorly maintained, and so we had to have we were able to buy them inexpensively, relative at the time, put a business plan in place, repositioned the properties, stabilized them, and then eventually sold those for a large profit.
So proper preparation meets performance. Proper preparation means opportunity, creates luck, right? So we were prepared. Yep. We knew what we were doing. We had a plan. You and I had a plan together. We were going to build this company and do this thing. It just so happened we ran into this time period that made it incredibly profitable for us to do it during that period of time. Next point I want to make out is that if I remember right, you tell me if I'm remembering this right, it seemed as though every deal we did, the price got better, starting from $26,000 a door, going down from there down to the lowest one of $8,000. Am I remembering that right, or is it too far away to remember?
No, you are. You remember that correctly.
So I remember sitting there with you, John, and laughing. We were literally laughing at ourselves, going, this is going to ruin us, right? And we both knew what was going to happen. We were getting spoiled. That, real estate, you can make money with in an up market, a down market, a sideways market. It has 5-6 different ways to make money with real estate. All the stuff we've taught for 35 years. But we were running into this opportunity just over the top. And it got better and better and better and better. Whereas people started thinking, John, how do you catch a falling knife? I think that's exactly the way they stated it to me. In other words, Del, you're buying at 26. Now you're buying at 19. Well, the 26 is not worth 26 anymore if it went to 19. And then after that, it was 14. And then after that, it was 8, and on down the line, whatever. But the bottom line was they weren't really going down in value. It was other deals that were going down in value, right? It wasn't the ones we bought. They were still worth everything we paid for them. In fact, we made a profit on every deal we bought, did we not?
We did.
Let's talk about how your life changed. And I know that you worked hard while we put our partnership together and we did our thing. I know that for a while I convinced you even consult for a while and mentor for a while. I'm sorry, not consult, but mentor for a while. But then it came at the time. And I always tell people, if you stay here at Lifestyles more than 5 years, you're not doing what I told you to do, which is go get rich and retire. Let's talk about what decisions in life got changed, what you decided to do. How did you end up in a motorhome? And how many places have you been? I mean, every time I turn around, you somewhere else. Give us the story, John.
Yeah, and so it was probably about 4 years into the, to you and I working together and investing together. We had always we like to camp. We like to do that type of stuff. Debbie was getting ready to retire as a speech pathologist. And I just one day I said, we've talked about getting a motor home. If we're going to buy one, it's probably better to do it while you have W-2 income and you're going to retire, shortly. So let's go do it. And we went from tent camping to a 36-foot motorhome, and began traveling. One of the things about as I look at our investments, as I monitor our investments with technology, as long as I have cell phone service and good internet, I'm set up anywhere and relatively close, to an airport in case I have to get back for something going on the property. And so we started traveling in about 2013. We have been to 48 out of the 50 states in the motorhome. The states we have not been to are North Dakota and Hawaii. We did Alaska, a large trip to Alaska this past summer. And and by the way, if you have never been to Alaska, you have got to go. It is an incredible place. But like I said, it's the best of both worlds because we can travel, we can go see the things that we want to see in the time frames that we want to see them while still remaining in touch, still able to monitor the investments through technology. And, for the Alaska trip, we have Starlink satellite. And, man, what a game changer. And so, again, it's we probably, in 2023, we spent about 65% of our time in the motorhome and versus our house in Houston. And so we spend a lot of time in it. We travel quite a bit. We did Alaska this past summer, so we probably did 15,000 miles, 16,000 miles in 2023. And so, what it's done, in the first segment, I was talking about that repetition of I got to go to the office. One of the ads that we were listening to on the break was talking about the cubicle. And, what Lifestyles has done for Debbie and me is created an environment or allowed us to create an environment where we can travel and we can see the things that we need to see without having to go to the office, without being constrained to those limitations.
I want to add to this a different twist here, man. You made a lot of friends when you're here. One of the friends you made was with Scott. And Scott Tenney is just like you. He's all over the world. He's super retired is what I call Scott, to where he has houses all over the country, and he's got motorhomes, and but you guys and share with people that are motorist enthusiasts your Jeeping experience. And we've only got 1 minute to do this, but share with people how nice it is to be able to pick up a hobby, go all over the world to do it, spend whatever you need to spend to get this expensive equipment to do it. Just give me 30 seconds of that, would you?
Yeah, absolutely. Debbie and I both love to Jeep and off-road. We've made several trips to Moab, Utah, which is the Jeeping capital of the world. We have done that with Scott and Deb Tenney, who are also Lifestyles members that we met through Lifestyles. We have met other members at different locations on our travels. Almost all of our friends today are all involved with Lifestyles that are, or I should say our Houston area friends. We're currently in South Florida, and there's a group of Lifestyles members that are here in South Florida as well.
Great, John. We got to go. I would appreciate you for taking some time out to call in and help me with this new series. The rest of you out there, remember this. John Ridgway knows it's not the money, it's the lifestyle. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley Radio Show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers. The Del Walmsley Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.